Hello and welcome to Dish Shelved with Adam White. Yes, I'm still alive. It's been a while since I've graced the internet with one of my fantastic videos. Uh, I actually have uh, had a lot of problems with my eyes lately and ended up with new glasses that are bifocals for old people like me. And I won't go into all that, but suffice to say, I haven't been reading a lot lately until I got my whole eye situation fixed. That's all I'll say about that. Um, anyway, I'm back to reading. The amusing thing is I want to, well, first of all, I want to say happy 100th birthday to the term science fiction. Uh, it was in 1926 that Hugo Gernsback started his amazing stories and called it science fiction. It had been around before, earlier like H.G. Wells and Jules Verne and some others, and it had been called scientific romances at that point, and then in between it was called scientifiction, which is kind of strange to say. So thankfully they finished on science fiction. Now this Hugo Gernsback and the Century of Science Fiction, I thought was a biography on Hugo Gernsback. It was not. I DNF'd it really early. um, it's a full of critical essays, but there's two kinds of critical essays. There's the kind that enrich your knowledge of the subject or the book and give you new insights into it, and then there's the kind that's dry and boring and you just can't slog through it. And unfortunately that's what this was, so I can't recommend this book, but I wanted to get something of Hugo Gernsback shown on here because he was a big part of why it's called science fiction and for its 100th birthday this year. The first thing I read was View from Another Shore. You can get it fairly cheap, used. Um, it's a collection of science fiction short stories from around the world. And I thought science fiction isn't a strictly an American thing, so I thought I'd expand my horizons, and I found this listed on a site somewhere and thought, well, I'll take a chance on it. And it was really good. Now that I can see, uh, I it starts off with Stanislav Lem in Hot Pursuit of Happiness. His work is always good. I really like Stanislav Lem. Uh, I'm going to get to some of his books in the future here, but um, let's see, The Good Ring from Denmark is Sven Age Madsen, I'm going to guess. uh, it was a really good story. It had a really interesting premise. Captain Nemo's Last Adventure from Czechoslovakia. Good Night Sophia by Lino Aldani from Italy. A Modest Genius by Vadim Shefner. USSR, so you can tell how old this book is. When was this book done? 1973. But it has lots of great short stories from a lot of great artists around the world. I did searches for most of them because I wanted to see if there was anything else in print, and only a few of them have anything printed in English. So I'm eventually going to look into that, but most of the stuff that come up, they're just available in their native language. So uh, this is definitely a good read. If you find it online, it's uh, edited by Frank Rottensteiner, but it's called View from Another Shore. Lots of great science fiction, world SF, uh, lots of good stuff in here. Great way to celebrate the 100th birthday of science fiction. The next book I read was Judith Merril, Home Calling and Others, the complete short fiction of Judith Merril. I had planned on using this for a different video, but I'm so backed up on not getting videos done that I'm just going to throw it in at this one. I found it's only available in hardback and hardcover, and it was really good. There was one or two stories that were kind of just good but not great, but then there was a lot of them that were really great. Survival Ship was an especially good one. The Barrier of Dread, Woman's Work is Never Done, Daughters of Earth. You can sense a theme here. She has a lot of female main characters, which is something you didn't see a lot in science fiction. I mean, you did sometimes, but this is by a female author, so she really gave women a place in science fiction, and she did it by writing fantastic stories. Hero's Way is a good one. I mean, they're all good. Some of them fantastic. Dead Center and Peeping Tom, which is not what you think, uh, was especially a good one. Where else? What was? Oh yeah, my favorite was The Lady Was a Tramp, and it was a tramp ship called the Lady Jane, and it was like taking Captain Picard fresh out of Starfleet Academy and putting him into a mirror universe Firefly. It was a real straight-laced guy getting on his ship because that's where he got it. He came in like 10th in his class or something, so he couldn't get on any of the main ships. So he got put on uh, this one spaceship that was just a tramp, and he has to get to know the people on it, who are all really interesting, crazy people, and the captain's always drunk, and it was a fantastic story, worked the whole book just for that one, and I really wish she would have expanded it into a novel because it was really fun. It would have really been interesting to explore that universe more. And then The Lonely, maybe there was one more in here that went with Survival Ship that was kind of like a sequel to it, and she was working on a third one, a third short story, and she was going to take them and do them into a fix-up novel, but just never got around to it. But the short stories on the Survival Ship, it was a generational ship that where people were in hibernation periodically and then would periodically come undone to keep everything running. And it was a really interesting setup for a story, and it would have made a great novel too. Um, so I wish she would have explored that, but she didn't. But at least we had a couple of good stories out of it. Uh, Again, Judith Merril, Home Calling. Home Calling was another really good story, which is probably why they chose to call it Home Calling and Other Stories. Uh, it was really a first contact kind of story, and it was just really fascinating, very well written. She's a very good writer. I have a biography on her that was written by her granddaughter and taken some of her own. She was working on an autobiography before she died, and it's got some of that in there, and then her granddaughter finished it. I haven't read it yet. I'm interested to read it because I like seeing what goes on with the authors behind the scenes. Um, And also um, a companion book to it is Judith, Merril, and C.M. Kornbluth's Spaced Out, Three Novels of Tomorrow. It's kind of a companion book piece, but she wrote three novels with, um, let me see here what they are. I haven't read this yet, but uh, her novels were called Gunner Cade, Outpost Mars, and Shadow in the Hearth. And I really enjoyed her short fictions, and C.M. Kornbluth's a good author too. So I wanted to check out and see what her novels were like because, like I said, it's several of her short stories I wish she would have fleshed out into novels. So anyway, check that out too. Um, and then the last thing I read was The Winds of Time by Chad Oliver. I read it on my Kindle, so I don't have anything to show you. Really, the cover was very generic, like little gray bug-eyed space aliens, which has nothing to do with the story at all. Uh, but I just finished this morning, and it was really good. Um, I was watching booktuber that I just come across. I think his name's Jake, and his channel is called Pulp Mortem, Pulpmortem. If I can figure out how to link it at the bottom, I will. But I've never done that before. But if I can link that video, I will. But he talked about 15 science fiction novels that get overlooked. Uh, and that are actually really good. And this was I decided to take up, I saw it as a challenge, so challenge accepted, sir. I'll see if these are hidden gems of science fiction or not. Well, this Winds of Time by Chad Oliver was really good. I really enjoyed it. It starts out with a guy that's just going fishing up in the middle of nowhere in Colorado, and he stumbles upon something that he wouldn't hardly believe. And I mean, it's not giving anything away. It talks about it on the back of the book, but uh, it he finds people that have been in hibernation in stasis for like 15,000 years, and they're looking for a way home. And then the middle good portion of the novel is their story as to how they got to Earth, and it's really interesting. Um, it really shows you it shows you that man is not alone in the universe, and that there are actually other human beings out there. But what they find when they find human run planets is what's really interesting and kind of sad, uh, yet accurate. And so they end up on Earth, and they know they're in, basically the Stone Age. And so they take this stuff that's meant in case they have to take a trip home in hibernation sleep, and they wake up and it's just the 1950s. And so they have no way of constructing a ship or doing anything. And how it turns out is really, really interesting. Just something I didn't see coming until it happened. And then I was like, that makes perfect sense. And it was really a really satisfying ending and a really good book. You really got to know the characters. All the alien humans had distinct personalities, and that's something you didn't always see in some of the just general science fiction. Usually everybody would be pretty interchangeable, but everybody had their own personalities, and the guy from the present day, Wes, he had his own personality too and his problems, and it really explored what being an alien means. Uh, since they were all essentially human, but who was the real alien by the time the story finishes? And it's just really thoughtful, really interesting. It's a short read, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and it was called The Winds of Time by Chad Oliver, and you can get it on Kindle for like $1.99. Uh, Highly worth the money, highly recommend it. It's fantastic. Again, don't forget about Judith Merril, and look up View from Another Shore. You might have to work a little bit to find one. Shouldn't be, mine wasn't expensive. I only paid about $5 for it or something, but um, definitely check it out. It was worth it to see science fiction around the early 1970s from other countries, and there just wasn't a lot of that at the time that you could get. So it was a really interesting book, and it's just a mass market paperback with an interesting little cover there. But anyway, happy 100th birthday to the term science fiction, and I hope to see you sooner than later. Um, and let me again just say happy 100th birthday, science fiction. You've brought me a lot of joy over the years, and I hope to have many more years of satisfaction reading science fiction. And I recommended it to all of you out there. So, hope you all have been well, and thanks for hanging out with me. And I will see you hopefully sooner than later.